Have you ever had a week where everything's fine? You're working hard, you're on top of things, and yet by the end of the week, you're just kind of wondering, is this it? Is this all there is to life? That exact thing happened to me about a week ago, and I gotta tell you, it led to a wild story. One that involves a crazy hike, getting lost in a cemetery, and dancing with a bunch of hippies. And the most beautiful part is that by the end, I had a realization about what was missing and why for so many of us, there's this sense that maybe there is something more to life, but we can't quite put our finger on it. So today, I want to share this story with you because I think you'll genuinely enjoy it. And by the end, you might have a realization as well as to how you can feel even more alive and perhaps have the best summer of your life. So about a week ago, I finished a work week. It was Saturday, and all week I'd been working hard, putting together video, working with private clients, staying in shape, all that stuff. And yet I had this lingering feeling of like, is this really how I want my life to be? And I asked myself, if my life was like this for the next 5 years, how would I feel about that? And immediately I was hit with this feeling of like, man, I would be really disappointed with myself if this is how my life felt over the next 5 years. So the next day on Sunday, I decided to go for a little adventure. I drove into the city to Montreal. I decided to go hiking in Mont-Royal, which is the big mountain in the middle of the island. And really felt like I needed to get out of my hometown, get out of Saint-Bruno and just go live a little. So as I started walking up the mountain, it was beautiful. The colors were vibrant, had this springtime energy. Immediately started taking some deep breaths and feeling more alive, feeling more like myself. Through climbing up a little bit, I found myself in this gigantic cemetery. I honestly still can't believe how big it was. And for what felt like an eternity, I was walking through the cemetery. I was kind of lost, to be honest. And I started looking at those tombstones and thinking, you know what? All these people underground, one day they were alive. And one day I'm gonna die. I'm gonna be the one underground. But until then, how do I wanna live? And how do I want my life to feel? Eventually, I found my way out of the cemetery, made my way to the top of the mountain, and I asked a guy, what was the fastest, quickest path to come down the mountain? Because I really wanted to go down. And he looked at me, he said, well, you can go that way. That's the most direct path, but I can tell you it's pretty steep. It's pretty intense. Looked at him and I said, okay, thank you. In the back of my mind, I'm like, come on, I can hike down a steep trail. What's the big deal? Well, about 5 minutes later, I followed his instructions. And I'm telling you, I wasn't hiking down the mountain anymore. I was sliding down the side of the mountain. That's how steep it was. Felt more like skiing than hiking. But at the same time, I was feeling really giddy, really alive, like laughing like a little kid, trying not to, stumble down. I made it down safely. And as I got to the bottom of the mountain a little while later, I ended up at something called Tam-Tams. Tam-Tams in Montreal is an institution. It's something that happens every Sunday, where essentially these hippies, these people from all over the world gather at the bottom of Mount Royal at this monument, and they play the drums. And they just get in this harmony, this co-creation, and it's really beautiful. So I start to feel the music, feel those drums, and let myself move a little bit, start dancing, and honestly, I felt amazing. If you've ever been around 20 drums playing at the same time, you can just feel that primal energy. It's really special. And I had an amazing time. Eventually, I said thanks to the guys, kind of paid my respects, went back to my car. It's beautiful, sunny, so I put down the top on my convertible. Felt just so alive in that moment. And as I was driving home, I was contrasting how I'd been feeling all week and how I was feeling this moment, and it was so different. And what I kept thinking is, this feeling I have right now, this feeling I've had all day of being alive, being on an adventure, feeling like turned on by life, that's how I want to live. That's how I want my life to feel. So I kind of tucked those thoughts away for a couple of days, and fast forward to the night between Tuesday and Wednesday, I wake up in the middle of the night, like come awake, like a lightning bolt of inspiration hits me. And I have this idea. I think to myself, I spent the last few years of my life optimizing for performance, optimizing for productivity, for success. And in a lot of ways, it's worked. But what if the piece that's missing is that I've never tried optimizing for aliveness? And what would happen if I organized my life, at least for this summer, in the direction of living for aliveness and asking myself, moment to moment, what would make me feel most alive right now? And letting that be the compass. So I spent about an hour in the middle of the night thinking about this stuff, getting really excited. Eventually, I decided to go back to sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, I had this really interesting experience. Part of me was really excited about this possibility, this experiment I could run this summer. But another part of me felt kind of terrified. Why do I feel this way? Why am I so scared to follow aliveness? And as I start to introspect and I spend the next couple of days reflecting on that, I realized that in some ways, as a species, we've spent almost forever optimizing for survival. And if you think back of life 200 years ago, life was really intense. It was really hardcore to survive, to provide for yourself, to just make it through the day. And that's what people had to do. But nowadays, it's changed a little bit. Actually, we have it a lot easier, if we're being honest. We have food at the grocery store, we have shelter, we have electricity. Still we have challenges, but we're probably gonna survive today. But here's the thing, our nervous system hasn't caught up to that. Our nervous system still thinks that we gotta be responsible, we gotta be disciplined, we gotta be serious, or else some terrible thing might happen. But is that still true? Or could we actually focus more on aliveness, on what lights us up, and actually be okay? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And I'll be honest with you, I'm really excited to find out. And I am really inspired to run this experiment this summer. Now, even in this moment, as I'm telling you about it, part of me is like, yeah, this is gonna be the best summer ever. You're gonna have great adventures, and hey, worst comes to worst, I'll feel really alive, and by the time autumn comes, I'll just settle down, be more serious, and go back to my old mode of operation. But best case scenario, perhaps I might discover that aliveness, when we're feeling fully alive, is when we're actually most engaged with life, most productive in a way, because we have lots of energy, and we're also most creative and most fun to be around. What if that's the deeper truth here? I don't know, but I want to find out. After reflecting on that for a few days, I said to myself, okay, let's run the experiment. Let's see what happens. And I went out to Montreal Saturday, just a few days ago, decided to run that experiment for the first time. It was day one of the experiment. And I won't tell you the whole story because so many things happened that night, but I'll tell you in short. I drove into the city telling myself at every juncture I'm gonna ask, what would make me feel most alive right now? And I had one of the best nights of my life. I ended up playing Frisbee with strangers at the park, ended up at this dance party with my friends, and we found a secret rooftop and saw this beautiful little baby rainbow as we got to the rooftop. We ended up finding the perfect table for dinner with the sunset on our skin and the right music, the right vibe. And later that night, I even found myself in this random street party with about 100 people watching the end of the Knicks game and watching this historical sports moment when the New York Knicks won the championship and just celebrating this moment with all these people on the street. It was magical. And I know that's just one data point. That's just one Saturday night on the town. But I will tell you this, the whole night there was a feeling that when I followed my aliveness, in a way I was being guided. It's almost like the universe was using aliveness to tell me this is the path for you. This is where the best adventure, the most rich experience is for you. So I want to find out what happens if I do this all summer. And of course, it works on a Saturday night, but does it work during the week? Does it work on a Tuesday morning? Does it work on a Thursday afternoon? Or am I gonna skirt all my responsibilities and just be completely wild? I don't think so. I don't think so, because I like being on top of things, but I like being alive too. So that's the experiment for the summer. I'm calling this the Aliveness Project, and I'm excited to take you for the ride. I want to use this YouTube channel as a way to document the stories, the lessons, the adventures, and to revert back to you. And if you're feeling inspired, maybe you can run that experiment in your world as well. And ask yourself that question, what would make me feel most alive right now? and see what happens. So in the spirit of all this, I'd love to ask you right now, as you think about your life in this present moment, as you think about the coming months, summer, wherever you are in the world, what's one thing that is making you feel alive? One activity, one mindset, one group of people you're spending time with, or what's something you'd want to do this summer that you're like, I feel like this is going to bring a lot of aliveness for me. Share with me in the comment section if you want. I would really love to know, and perhaps we can inspire each other to have the most alive summer, and also to perhaps find out that this is absolutely crazy and it's just a good story we can tell later, or maybe this is actually the most direct, most profound path to more success, more productivity, and more performance in all the things we care about. I don't know. Let's find out together. So on this note, I wish you an amazing rest of your day. Enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey, and enjoy feeling alive. Because hey, we're here, we're alive. Let's give ourselves permission to fully feel it. Much love. I'll see you in the next video.